The afternoon sun beat down on the town square as people gathered near the fountain, enjoying their lunches and casual conversations. Among them was Marcus, a middle-aged black man who carried himself with quiet dignity. He had worked hard all his life, building his business from scratch, providing for his family, and earning the respect of those who knew him well. He wasn't a man of loud words, but rather of steady actions. That day, he had simply stopped to buy a sandwich from the cafe on the corner, nothing unusual, nothing remarkable. But the moment soon became unforgettable. As Marcus waited for his order, a woman in her late 50s, dressed in an expensive suit, stood a few steps away. Her voice suddenly cut through the casual chatter, sharp and filled with venom. "People like you don't belong here," she hissed. "Why don't you just go back to Africa?" The crowd froze. Some gasped softly, others shifted uncomfortably, glancing at Marcus to see how he would react. The woman's face burned with arrogance, her words dripping with centuries of hatred. Marcus turned slowly toward her. His deep brown eyes held no rage, no panic, only a calmness that seemed almost defiant. The insult was not new to him, it carried the weight of generations, an echo of voices that had tried to strip away dignity and belonging. Yet Marcus stood still, rooted not in shame but in an unshakable sense of who he was. Around them, silence hung heavy. Even the cafe staff paused mid-step, the air thick with anticipation. Everyone waited to see if Marcus would yell, walk away, or let the insult pass. But Marcus had something else in mind, something that would leave the square in stunned silence. Marcus stepped forward, his posture upright, his voice low but clear. He didn't raise his tone, he didn't need to. The weight of his words carried farther than any shout ever could. "You tell me to go back to Africa," he said, pausing to look her directly in the eyes. "But I was born right here. My father was born right here. My grandfather shed blood for this country in a war that gave you the freedom to insult me today. Africa is the land of my ancestors, but America is the land I built with my own hands." The woman's smirk faltered for just a moment, but her pride wouldn't let her back down. "You people always play the victim," she sneered. "If you don't like it here, leave." Marcus tilted his head slightly, a faint, weary smile forming on his lips. "Leave," he repeated, his voice steady as he turned so everyone could hear him. "Do you realize how much of this nation is built on the backs of people who look like me? Our labor, our sweat, our lives were stolen to build these streets you walk on. And yet, after centuries of pain, we still rise, we still contribute, and we still claim this land as ours. You want me to leave? But if every black man and woman disappeared today, this country would crumble overnight." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some nodded quietly, some avoided eye contact, but the truth in his words could not be denied. Marcus wasn't just defending himself, he was reminding everyone present of the unspoken history that lingered in every brick and every field of their nation. The woman's face flushed red. She opened her mouth to respond, but Marcus raised his hand gently, commanding silence without force. What came next silenced even the skeptics in the crowd. Marcus took a deep breath, his gaze softening but his words sharpening like a blade cutting through centuries of lies. "You tell me to go back," he said, "as though I don't belong. But belonging isn't given by you, it is earned through sacrifice. My great-grandmother picked cotton in fields she never owned. My grandfather returned from war only to be told he couldn't sit at the same counter as the man he fought beside. And yet, through all of that, they endured. They endured so I could stand here today, not begging for acceptance but claiming my rightful place." The square was still. Even the wind seemed to pause. Marcus continued, his voice growing steadier with each word. "Do you know what it feels like to be told you don't belong in a country you've given everything to? To be told you're less, even when you've proven yourself more times than you can count? I carry that weight every day. But I also carry pride. Pride in my people, pride in our resilience, pride in the unshakable truth that no matter how many times you try to erase us, we remain." The woman shifted uneasily now, her bravado cracking under the gaze of dozens of eyes watching her. No one came to her defense. No one dared echo her words. Marcus looked around the square, letting his eyes meet those of strangers, black, white, young, old. "So no, I will not go back," he said firmly. "Because I never left. My roots are here. My story is here. And whether you accept it or not, this country is as much mine as it is yours." The silence that followed was not empty, it was filled with respect, reflection, and the heavy thud of truth. The woman tried to laugh, a hollow, nervous sound. "You think you're some kind of hero for giving a speech," she snapped. But her voice betrayed her, it trembled beneath the weight of the moment. Marcus didn't flinch. Instead, he stepped closer, closing the gap between them without aggression, only presence. His voice softened, yet each syllable rang like iron striking stone. "Hero? No. I'm a man who refuses to bow his head. You see, the real tragedy is not what you said to me. It's what you've allowed yourself to believe, that my existence threatens yours. That my presence takes something away from you. But let me tell you this, my success does not diminish you. My pride does not erase you. And my presence in this country is not a privilege, it is a right earned by every ancestor who refused to be broken." His words wrapped around the crowd, leaving no escape from their resonance. A young man standing nearby, no older than 20, wiped a tear from his eye. An older woman whispered softly, "Amen." For a moment, the square transformed into something sacred, a place where truth cracked through stone hearts and forced them to feel. Marcus then said the words that would echo long after that day. "When you tell me to go back, you're not just speaking to me. You're speaking to every child who dreams of becoming more. You're speaking to every ancestor who fought to survive chains, whips, and laws that said we were less than human. But here we are. We are still here. And we are not leaving." The woman stood speechless now, her hands clenched but her voice stolen. The crowd no longer looked at her with sympathy, their eyes were fixed on Marcus, drawn to his unshakable dignity. The cafe door opened, and the waiter timidly handed Marcus his sandwich, as though the world hadn't just shifted outside. Marcus accepted it with a small nod of thanks before turning back to the woman one final time. His voice was quiet now, but it carried more power than any shout. "You told me to go back. But the truth is, it is hate that has no place here. It is ignorance that must return to the shadows. And it is dignity, courage, and justice that will remain." He didn't wait for her to respond. He simply walked away, his shoulders tall, his steps unhurried. The crowd parted for him, some placing hands on their hearts, others whispering words of support as he passed. The woman remained frozen, unable to reclaim the power she thought she had over him. In the days that followed, whispers of the confrontation spread through the town. People spoke not of the insult, but of Marcus's response, the calm strength, the undeniable truth, the way he turned cruelty into a lesson. For many, it was a moment of reckoning, a reminder that racism thrives not only in shouts and insults, but in silence. And it was silence Marcus had shattered with nothing more than the truth. For Marcus, it wasn't about applause or recognition. It was about standing tall in the face of humiliation, about showing that dignity cannot be stolen, and that pride runs deeper than any insult. He had not only defended himself, he had carried his people's story on his shoulders and reminded everyone watching that belonging is not granted, it is claimed. And so, the memory of that afternoon lingered in every corner of the town square, a man who refused to be diminished, a voice that cut through hate, and a crowd left speechless by the undeniable power of truth.